This is a Mulvihill. For those of you who have ever wondered, have always wondered what a Mulvihill might be, this is it. That is a 24-inch folding propeller. Pretty nice prop for a nice big airplane. This is the Dominator. It was designed by Bud Romack. Bud is a long-time, legendary, many-time Mulvihill trophy winner. Next year, 2023, will be the 100th anniversary of the Mulvihill Trophy, which is the birth of unlimited rubber power on the world stage. So, this is an example of one. Bud gave us permission to kit it. Mike Curta did design work for propeller blade kits for this airplane. Did all the drafting of the many ribs that go in it. Made a couple of modifications at my request, namely the X ribs in wing and tail. And Bud, of course, approved of those changes. We adjusted the webbing in the wing spars and so on. And the result is an incredible machine. A truly practical, large rubber model. One of the highest performance model airplane designs in the world. You build it right, it'll do 10 minutes in dead air. You're not going to see me doing that because I live east of the Mississippi, and so we don't have fields where we can usually get away with those shenanigans.
Hi, my name is Hope Finn. I am normally either behind the camera or normally off shipping kits or whatever. But today I'm in front of the camera because I want to tell you about this airplane. And this is the Dominator kit that we sell. Is Bud Romack's design. And the reason why we're here talking about this is this year's 2023 Mulvihill winner. And for those of you who don't know, Mulvihill is kind of like a unlimited class. The only stipulation is it has to be 300 square inches of wing area. And then if your tail is 50%, anything over 50% of the wing area counts as your wing area. And then the other stipulation is it has to be rubber powered.
And free flight.
And free flight, yes. So it's one of those things, like, these are, you know, you get a wide variety of airplanes that fly in this. Some of the airplanes that we're flying was Skinny Minis. We had Gollywalks flying. We had Dominators flying. You know, just a wide variety of things. And so this one was the one that won. And it was one of those things, we build it straight from the kit that we sell. Here's the kit, and then there's also plans if you want just the plans.
It is a short kit.
It is a short kit, so it's basically just the laser cut stuff, and you need to provide your own strip wood. But the plans will tell you what kind of strip wood it is.
We did make a couple of modifications. You might want to point out the two-piece.
Yes. So the major modifications that we made is the fuselage breaks down right here. I'll show you later how it packages up. But the fuselage breaks right here behind the wing peg, so it's easier to package up. And then the wing is broken into two parts, and so it breaks right down here in the middle. And so it's easy to pack. Like, literally, it packs down, and you can
rifle case
in a rifle case, and literally just, you know, take it. We had one guy that looked at our Mulvihill box and was shocked at how many Mulvihills we can fit in there. But literally,
the answer is 6.
Yeah, there's 6 of them in there right now. But literally, if they break down like this, they're easy to package up, and so it's one of those things. So we'll start off with one of the things that you guys may be wondering is, how much does it weigh? This one came out to roughly 137 grams. For those of you that know Mulvihill, that is pretty heavy. Most of the time, people are looking for 100, 110. So yeah, this is very heavy. But then the rubber motor is 92 grams of rubber. So A lot of rubber.
That's the motor too.
This is the motor. To tell you guys, most people, they go through 2 or 3 motors for as many flights as I had. And I had this rubber motor, did all the trimmed flying back in October. It did all of its flights, and when we took it out, there was no strands broken, which is, I mean, normally you have 1 or 2 strands broken by then, and that's why you normally have to replace it. So yeah, I'm gonna find a UV box that I'm going to UV proof box that I'm gonna keep this in, and I'm gonna make a little plaque so that way I can remember this event. I will tell you.
Some of you may be wondering why she's only keeping the rubber motor. She'll get to that in a minute.
Yes, I will get to that. If you guys stay to the very end of the video, we will tell you
the future of
this plane. So, but it's one of those things. This plane, we knew the design was capable because Bud has won it with this design before, and it's done very well with this design.
Danbury too.
Danbury, yes. This one, it was one of those things that I told him I would take it because there was some flaw in his building. I can't remember even now what it was.
There was no flaw.
Oh, there wasn't? Okay. But I was just like, I'll take it. I'm not one of these that I never thought I would. Maybe eventually I might do well in duration, because that's what Mulvihill is basically duration, in that you start off with a 2-minute flight, and then if you go over 2 minutes, that time that doesn't count. With any of these maxes, it doesn't count. So you have a 2-minute max, 3-minute max, and 4-minute max. And if you get those 3 flights, you go off to, and you have 6 attempts to get 3 maxes.
Anything under 20 seconds is an attempt.
Yes. But it's one of those things, after that, then everything counts. And so you go to 5 minutes, then you go to a 6-minute, and then what I had to go to actually win was I had to max the 7-minute flight to be able to win it. And
that's a heck of a long time to be in the air.
Yeah, it's that was amazing. I was, for the, Josh can correct me if I'm wrong.
It was the last 2 flights.
The last 2 flights, there was 2 of them that went in the field. I don't know if you've ever been to Muncie, but it went in the field over there around Site 4.
The bad field.
So,
the bad one.
that time I DT'd it, which basically, move forward, you can see a little bit more. The stab comes up. It doesn't. When we fly it, it's actually pulled down, but right now we don't have it set.
Show them the mechanism.
And so this is what we have is a radio the thermalizer. So basically, I have a servo here that has a arm that, let me see if I can.
Awkward angle
because I'm used to doing it the other way. There you go. So basically, that's the way it would glide, is with the prop folded back and everything. And so whenever the time comes that I want it to come down, I push this button here.
And the tail is slowly coming up. Guess who didn't put enough rubber bands on it?
It's supposed to come up like that, very abruptly.
I'm guilty.
Josh didn't put enough rubber bands on it, so that's why I didn't do that. But it will come down, and then you can go retrieve your plane. Now we do that basically just so, you got to make all those flights between 8 and 5 o'clock. So if you go on a marathon, flying a marathon, you got to make sure that you can cut those flights short and get your plane back and turn your flight in and wind again. So those we're able to safely get down. The 7th flight, I was chasing in a golf cart, because that's what half the people do in Muncie, is they either chase in the golf cart or chase on a dirt bike.
Yeah, the other half of us chase on the dirt bike. We're insane.
But our friend Steve Spence, he came along, and he was coming back to the flight line, and he saw me basically hanging out, trying to drive and hanging out, looking up at my plane, and so he's like, "How about you follow me, and I will help you get this plane back," because we knew it was the way it was drifting. It was going to drift over some houses that are right there connected to the AMA field, and wasn't sure exactly where. And he was like, "Well, I can help her at least retrieve it." So we would go along, and all of a sudden he would stop, and I'd pull up next to him, and we would just kind of watch it, and I had Caleb with me, and he would tell me, he had a stopwatch, and so I would tell him, "All right, tell me when it reaches 4 minutes and 30 seconds. And so then he would tell me at 4:30. So then I would tell him, "All right, tell me when it reaches 5 minutes." And so he kept doing that. For my last 3 flights, I think I had him do that, because it was so far away from the flight line. I needed to know when to bring it down, and so he was great in that. Josh was back on the flight line timing the official flight for me, and so there
was a team of us timing.
Yeah, there was a strip of corn that's right there next to the road, and it's a small little one. And for the 7-minute flight, we had gone around there, waited for it, and Steve had noticed that it was starting to go drift towards the houses and the trees, and so he decided he was going to go on ahead. And at that point in time, I was like, "You know what? Let me find out what time I'm at." So I asked Caleb. I said, "What time is it?" And I said, "Is it 7 minutes?" And he says, "Yes, Mama, it's 7 minutes." And so I hit the DT, and our friend literally caught it in the middle of the road, and it was one of those things. If it would have gone 50 more feet, it would have been in a tree, or on, even further than that, it would have been maybe on somebody's house. So, okay, so the wing is covered in 1/4 Mylar. So this is basic. The reason the colors is this is your photo transparent paper. So just the
Used
different
for
colors.
printing high-end photos.
The fuselage is covered in polyspan, and then did you put anything on the polyspan?
We did put 2 coats of very thin dope on it.
Okay, 2 coats of very thin dope, and then the prop is actually from Tom McCoy, who gave us a prop. And did it come with the plane, or was it just a prop?
No, it was a spare. It was a
propeller. It was a spare propeller that he had for a Wakefield, and
it was a perfect fit for this nose opening.
Perfect fit. We'd run out of time to make actual props for both mine and Josh's. So Josh found this one, and then the one for his was from some other that he got. So that's basically it. The servo is 1.7 gram servo that controls the DT. And literally this is just an easy spring, spider wire, few bits of carbon, and to keep it kind of straight, so it will release right.
I guess I have to step in here.
Step in and explain a little bit more.
There's a guy in Germany. I don't know if he still does it, but he made slingshots, and he'd show off his latest slingshot and then say, "Let me show you its features." So Mike Curta and I got permission from Bud Romack, who's a good friend of ours, to produce this airplane as a kit, and based off the experience we had with the Dawn Patrol, also Bud's design, we decided, okay, well, let's make a couple of changes to make this an all-weather airplane. So a couple of those changes are that we put webbing on the stab spars out to almost half span on the stab. And then we put diagonal ribs in here. I wasn't totally sure if just having diagonals on the front was going to make them stiff enough, but this, even without the covering, this stab is very rigid. And then the other thing we did, and this, the materials for that are in the kit, as well as the X ribs here. They only go in the center two panels, and that really stiffens up the wings, so you can use Mylar. And you know, we were flying, Hope was launching at 40 inch ounces, which is decent torque in the world of rubber power, but for this airplane, this motor can take 120.
Mike said that he's launched it at 90.
And it goes torque straight up at 90 inch ounces.
90
yeah, it is inch ounces on that winder. Always check your units.
Yes.
Yeah, the structure on the wing is really required to handle the speeds that you achieve on that. The airplane literally will go straight up on that power. On 40 inch ounces, it moves right out, and it'll get about 300 feet up on that. On 90 inch ounces, and I'll explain in a minute why we didn't do that, it will get about 800 to 900 feet up even without a thermal. So this airplane can do the better part of 10 minutes in dead air. We were not anywhere near that, and even, you know, that sounds like amazing performance, but the reality is during fly-offs in any rubber power class in particular, if you're not in lift, you're in sink. So you win based on putting this airplane in thermals, not necessarily on raw performance. So there's one other woman that won it.
Yes, Connie Perry won it in 2005. And she, of course, didn't win it anymore because she passed away in 2006. So I'm technically the second woman that's won it. The other reason why it's special is this was the 100th year of awarding the Mulvihill Trophy.
100th anniversary.
100th anniversary.
I'm taking this wing off so you can see, and we'll have an article in Free Flight Digest that'll at some point that'll show this in greater detail. There's a reason I call this the Dominator Mark II BIS, because it is a Dominator Mark II because of the structural mods, but it is a Mark II BIS because of features like this. So there is but this is a 1/16 piano wire wing joiner. Something also that I found out after I built mine, looking at Mike Curta's model, I realized that I had misinterpreted the notes on the plans, the original plans, and had doubled the center panel dihedral. And that's actually what's shown on the plans for this airplane, as from our kit. And I'm not going to change that. And the reason is I feel like the airplane flies better with it. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. Given the way that we saw this airplane hunting lift, I feel like that's something to be left as it is. Mine hunts lift similarly, so I figure maybe I'm onto something. I hope I am. So there's aluminum tubing in both wings that the joiner goes into, and then at the back, this was originally glued in. It's kind of a little bit loose, but it's a piece of 1/32 piano wire, and it plugs into a piece of 1/16 aluminum tubing on the other side. So the bottom line is that you end up able to fold your wing like this. and that reduces, because you have to think about in any box you put it into, you have that much dihedral, so you have the vertical element as well as the size of the wing in general. So this reduces space. Y'all can see me over here futzing with rubber bands as usual. This is the removable tail cone for this airplane, and so it comes off. I guess I got to take everything apart to really show how this works. So this is a modification I came up with for the Dawn Patrol because it's got a very tall vertical stab. And so what I do is I drill a hole into the longeron back here, and then I glue a little piece of wood onto the side of the inside of this longeron, and then drill through that 2 pieces of aluminum tubing, and then we've got the piano wire pins there. And those are actually not straight. They're bent a little bit so that when they plug in, they kind of grab. So I still want to show this tidbit. So you have to, push it a little bit to get it to fit in. And the result of that is this tends to stay put pretty well. Doesn't need a rubber band to hold it in place, even under the vibration of the rubber motor. And of course, we got a 1/8 inch gurney flap that we use to help it turn a little better in the glide.
And that was literally the only modification was that, and then I think a little bit of down thrust.
Yeah, we used a lot of down thrust,
Yeah.
and I'll explain the reason why we had to use a lot of down thrust in a minute. It's hidden in the fact that I've got, let's see, you have an 1/8 of an inch of, a little over an 1/8 of an inch of incidence dialed in on the incidence screw. So you have a little nylon incidence screw back there. And just to show here, this is a surprisingly rigid horizontal stab for the weight. But the cool thing with this, and this is a what's called a shock mount from the Shocker team in Southern California back in the 70s. This is, in my opinion, the only way in the 21st century to mount a horizontal stab on a locked down airplane because it works so well. But what you can do is once you've got the airplane broken down like this, you can then take the rubber bands and just fold it in place. And the benefit of this is this arrangement allows you to take a second fuselage and put it across right on top of it, and then they sit side by side in the model box. Of course, you remove your propeller to take away a little bit of the extra length. This is a heavy propeller. What was the weight on that?
The propeller ended up being 32 grams.
Yeah, so typically, I think Mike Curta's props are about half that.
Yeah.
But
and then the fuselage ended up being
propeller.
about 54 grams.
Yeah.
So you'll actually be able to see this airplane again
In
in
person.
whether it could be virtually or it could be in person. But we were approached the Friday at the end of Nats by Michael Smith at the AMA Museum, and the acquisition board had asked him if he would approach us, and they want this airplane to be in the part of the museum. It will be in there until 2026. Which is when the 100th anniversary of AMA Nats technically is. And it was one of those things, like going into the day, it had been a rough morning with the boys' flights had not gone the way that we thought, that we hoped that they would.
I bombed out, launching into bad air.
He launched into bad air for his 3rd flight, and so that took him out of the running for any of the
placings.
Any of the placings.
Yeah.
And so then it was my turn, and it was just like, let me just get these 3 flights and get them over with, and then we'll move on to our other events, because
we didn't move on.
I had ROW rubber that day that I was planning on flying, and he had all-time catapult that he and the boys were flying, and so I was just like, you know what, we'll get these 3 flights done, and we'll just move on. And that's gonna be Mulvihill, because I had struggled the day before with my Moffitt and just, so it was, so then it was, you know, I maxed all 3 flights and I'm like, you know what? We'll put up the 4-minute max. You know, I probably won't max that one. So each flight, it was just like, oh, well, I maxed. So maybe this is a possibility. And so when we got to that, after we finished the 6-minute flight, it was one of those things that it was definitely, we could see a definite possibility of me actually winning this event. And so it was just one of those things that we just came together and we huddled and we prayed and said, Lord, just, you know, calm our nerves, you know, let us do this for you, and you know, for everything to be able to go to line up to get these flights, it was definitely a thing that you had to pick air. And that last 2 flights, it was hard because it was, you know, sometimes you're getting towards the end of the day, the thermals are not as strong, and so you're waiting, especially if you don't catch the smaller ones.
I think she waited about 15, maybe 20 minutes
to
launch that last flight.
And it gets tiring because you know you're holding the prop open and you're holding the plane, and it's one of those things.
We got the advice of a couple of other people on that last flight just to kind of make sure that it was going to go in good air. You know, Dan had kind of huddled up with the other gas flyers that
he was getting help from other gas flyers.
So they were kind of piggybacking off of each other's decisions over there. And so, you know, we got a group together and kind of had a confab of how to do this. And so clean through 7 minutes, that's a big score. All right.
So we'll put links below for the kit and any of the RDT system. We didn't really talk about it, but it is the BMK RDT system that we sell. And then we will also put a link in the description for the AMA museum. So go check it out. It'll probably be, I don't know when they will update it to reflect mine being in there. May not be until next summer or whatever, but not sure about that. So check that out, and we'll see you guys at the field.
See y'all. Hi, I'm Josh Finn. This is Hope. We are J&H Aerospace.
If you like this video, hit the like button.
Also, how about subscribe to our channel and check out jhaerospace.com for new free flight products and all of the tooling that you'll need to build them.
Thanks for watching.